We're live. Fantastic. Hey, everyone. Good to see you, or not see you. I can't see you. We're gonna start in about what the sweet spot's been like 2 minutes after the hour. So we'll start at 02. We'll start at 02. I hope you have some energy left in you. It's gonna be a fast-paced session. We're gonna have a fast-paced session. Take some notes on the side. I'll be sharing the resources at the end. So there's a long list of resources. I will be sharing them. However, don't hesitate to take some notes, check some of the tools, the websites that I'll be sharing along the way. Okay. And we'll start in about a minute, something like that. I think we had delay of 1 minute should be fine. Hope everyone's excited for the session. We're going to be fast-paced. Questions in the Q&A tab, please. Is there a link to the recordings available? We will share a link after the webinar. We'll have like a little type form. You leave your email, we send it over. And say hi in the chat. Tell us where you're joining from. It's always nice to know. Questions in the Q&A tab, please, not in the chat, in the Q&A section. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be fast-paced. I'm not an expert in this stuff, so if you want to share tools on your end or things that you think I could be doing better, please also share it. That would be more for the chat. So any tools that you've been using, practical tips, plugins, prompts, please share those in the chat section as we go. Like, don't hesitate. And anything with regards to questions, which I probably won't be able to answer, to be honest. Let's see. Those are in the Q&A, please. So we got USA, Paris, France, Austria, sunny Amsterdam, Switzerland, UK, New Hampshire, US. Cool. Austria, Poland. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, I think we're going to get started. There'll be a little bit of an introduction at the beginning, then we'll dive right in. Tiny bit of theory, and then we'll get extremely practical. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. Disclaimer: this might be the least well-scripted and organized webinar I've ever done. I started wanting to build theory and processes into it, but it became too big. So I decided to do more of an organized dump of tools, tips, plugins, prompts that I found extremely useful. Essentially sharing most of the AI tools, prompts, plugins, best practices, etc., that I or others around me have integrated into their daily work. Also trying out a bunch of things so that you don't have to. Ask questions in the Q&A and please share your suggestions in the chat. First 30 seconds, just a little bit about me. My name is David, co-founder, co-CEO at Growth Tribe. What we do is we partner with companies and we boost their performance through digital skills. We focus on leadership and innovation, AI and data, growth, and marketing. So like I said, we're going to go really fast today. It's a little bit messy. If you need more structure, right? If you need a more structured approach to learning this subject and you want to get certified, etc., we do have an AI for business course that's coming out that'll be better, more complete than this webinar, where we'll go into some foundational skills and it'll be a lot more structured and you get certified at the end. We'll be looking at fundamentals of AI and machine learning, creating a strategy, Gen AI for text and writing, for visual communication, for productivity, and for predictive analytics. We've also launched a new platform. So on top of the knowledge you get from our certificates and our courses, we've also opened up our entire library of modules. So you get access to 100 plus and growing modules to keep learning after you're done with a certificate. You also get access to our community where there's a lot of back and forth with others, sharing tips, sharing tools, sharing best practices, and so on and so forth. We also have live coaching now on the platform. You can ask an expert, get an answer really, really fast so that we can help with specific problems that you have at any given time. And we also have a lot of live events and master classes through your subscription on the platform. So definitely check that out. I think it's the best way you can spend the 60, 70, 80 bucks a month that we ask. You get access to the certificates, access to the modules, access to the experts. It's a new platform that we've launched and that goes live on the 19th. So for now, we're going to dive into our actual subject over here. And I just wanted to give a little thank you to some people who have inspired me and helped me to build this webinar. Max Rasher, Obscurious over on YouTube, Mango Street, also fantastic YouTube channel. Nasli from Growth Tribe has really helped provide me with some tools and tips and techniques I didn't know about. And my brother Aurelian, who I always go back and forth with, and who's also been helpful as I've been building this for the past, actually it's been for the past 6 months probably, but actually building the content, it's been like about a month. Agenda, what are we going to cover? So as I mentioned, it's going to go fast. We will be sharing all of the resources and the recording at the end through a type form. But I want to get through a lot of stuff. We're going to cover AI for writing and thinking. I'll call it AI as a brain partner, how to make better, more informed decisions, learn faster, more adapted to situations, better and more scaled communication. We'll go through AI for productivity to help you free up time to focus on creative aspects of work. I hope it'll help you work at your peak. Enhanced learning, skills development, and maybe even predicting outcomes. Actually, no, I don't cover that one. We'll do a little bit of AI for visuals and images. So in the last third, we'll have a bit more fun. We'll play around with some images. We'll get a little bit creative. And then there'll be a few last tools and tips, AI for what we'll call other things. Now, 2 seconds on the context. You already know this, but AI is getting good at many things. Better than us, in fact, at many things. It's like a calculator, but for our brain. So it's getting better than us at handwriting recognition, speech recognition, image recognition. We're not there with common sense completion yet, or code generation, or grading. But for the rest, we'll probably get there at some point in the very near future. So there's definitely 2 types of people: people who use this powerful new technology, and those who don't. I don't know if I'm going to compare it to the discovery of fire, Prometheus, etc., but we're getting close. It's definitely like a calculator, but not for numbers, for actual thoughts, for your thoughts. And it's a brain assistant. It's like a life, business, economics, literary, everything coach that's always there, always happy to help, never sleepy, can be whoever you want it to be. And it's basically almost free, not completely free. And companies, their leaders, their contributors are waking up to this and investing. It's easy to play around with. It's hard to implement, to put into production and to implement at scale. So we're going to be playing around today. This is not a webinar about how to implement these things at scale. We have other courses and sessions around that. And again, I'm not an expert, but I use it daily, and I wanted to start sharing how I use it daily and how I've been implementing it into my day-to-day. Again, share stuff when you have ideas in the chat. And so today we're going to stay at the personal level, and I want to try to up your game. Also, important note: please let me know if there's a little mistake I made or something like that. So the first thing we're going to do is AI as a writing brain assistant. So basically, there's a bunch of LLMs out there, and each have their own user interface. Now, to keep things simple, the most basic version of it is that you have GPT from OpenAI, you have Bard from Google, you have Bing from Microsoft, and you have ClaudeAI from Anthropic, which is actually funded by Google. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at, we're going to kind of have a look at all of them. So you got your GPT, you got your Bard over here, we have Bing over here, and we have Claude.ai. And we're going to compare them a little bit, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into GPT, and we're going to add a bunch of plugins, add a bunch of extensions to see where this can take us. A little bit of theory. So Google Bard over here, it's interesting. It uses, it's known what's called as a Lambda, which is a language model for dialogue applications. And I think it has like 150 billion parameters. And it's transitioning to be powered by something bigger that's called a Palm with 500 billion parameters, I think it is. Therefore, it's pretty clear that Google has trained Bard on its own data. ChatGPT, it's based on GPT, which means generative pre-trained transformer. technology. It's just this advanced language model developed by OpenAI, and the advanced GPT-4 used in GPT, I believe, has 1 trillion parameters, I believe. And it uses deep learning algorithms. Thus, the AI can generate coherent, and we'll see it's very coherent and relevant responses. Bing over here, so if you go to Microsoft Bing and you click chat, uses the same GPT-4 AI model as ChatGPT, but it fine-tunes the responses, and it uses its own search data for a lot more personalization and accuracy, as we'll see. And then ClaudeAI, Claude was born out of the concerns regarding safety on the future of AI. And at the core of Anthropic's model, I believe, is they use a technique that it's called like constitutional AI, which it tries to reduce the reliance on human feedback. Whereas ChatGPT uses reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF. I hope I'm getting that right. Claude is RLAIF, reinforcement learning from artificial intelligence feedback from synthetic data, I believe. Okay, so let's get into it. If you want to know which one's best, it depends, right? It depends what you're using it for. For your wallet, it's definitely, at the moment, it's definitely Claude, Bing, and Bard. GPT is $20 a month. I think it's more than worth it. I think it's the best investment you could make apart from a Growth Tribe membership. We're going to look at all 4 to show you how they deal with similar requests. But then I'm going to focus mostly on GPT as I believe it's more versatile. Now, first, something I use these tools a lot for is a thought exercise, or at least helping me build a good and informed opinion about something. I want to ask it about the pros and cons of 2 types of learning: deliberate learning versus incidental learning. So deliberate learning is like learning that has time allocation, has clear goals, has a feedback mechanism, whereas incidental learning, it's what we call on-the-job learning. It happens more by chance. So to use a gardening analogy, deliberate learning is like gardening. You intentionally plant specific seeds and nurture them to grow. Incidental learning, it's like discovering wildflowers during a walk, basically. Gym analogy, deliberate learning, structured workout plan. Whereas incidental learning, it's more like, yeah, we'll casually play a game of basketball. So at Growth Tribe, I'm obsessed with this stuff because we have a style of teaching that combines the 2. And I wanted to see what the different AI tools would tell me about the pros and cons of each. So, I wrote up a prompt that we'll paste into each of them. And I'm going to ask it to write to me like an expert in the field of learning and development, as well as the manager of a business unit. And for each answer, little trick, I'm going to ask it to use an analogy. It's really nice to ask them to use analogies. And I'd like to know the pros and cons of deliberate learning versus incidental learning over here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch this query on each of them just to give you an idea of how they react differently to this type of thing. Already on Bing, you can see that you can ask it to be either more creative, more balanced, or more precise. So there's this nice little option there. And I'm going to go and launch it over here. And I'm going to launch it on ClaudeAI as well. And we're just going to see how they react differently to that query. You can already see some differences. So Bing usually is going to show us some source material. Bing, you can like alternate easily between a chat and a chat and actual searches, and you see that it's already showing me some of the results. So as opposed to ChatGPT, that's only going to give me sort of a text output. On Bing, I'm going to be able to actually look at the source material, look where it comes from, and actually I can actually even click here and scroll down. Scroll down to see what links it's using and it's mentioning. Some of the links are over here. In terms of results, so we have deliberate learning, pros and cons that GPT is giving me, incidental, pros and cons. Bard, it tends to be a bit more precise and a bit more concise. Claude tends to be very concise. It likes to make it really short. And then Bing, like I was saying, you can click around and you can see what where the actual results came from. Now, what I want to do is I want to give the output a little bit of a more interesting tone. I want to give a better tone to the output. I want it to write in the style of somebody that I like to read, Mark Andreessen. So I'm going to ask it to write in the style of if Mark Andreessen and another writer that I love, Carol Dweck, and myself had a baby. So that's a nice little trick. If you want to change the tone, you ask it to write in the style of multiple people, so it combines their styles. And if you want it to sound a bit like you, and if you've written something online, you ask it to write in the tone of Marc Andreessen and yourself, for example. So I'm going to ask it to write in the style of, again, but write in style that would result of Marc Andreessen and Nassim Taleb having a baby. Oh, I didn't put myself in this one. We might do that a little bit later. So second little tip, merge styles by asking it to write in the style of if multiple people had a baby over there. And you see that it'll be a lot more stylistic. It'll really be a lot more fun to read and to share. When you build a prompt like this, there's a basic structure that you want to follow. The basic structure I've shared over here. So you're going to want to give it a tone, write to me, and act as a expert, learning development expert, coach, mentor, et cetera, and you insert your task. Give me the pros and cons of incidental learning versus deliberate learning, and then you're going to ask for a specific format. What format do you want it in? By the way, I'll share some really cool tools in a little bit that allow you to build these prompts from scratch or get inspired by other people. So you got your tone, you got your task, and your format. So here, our current tone is that mix that we talked about. Maybe I'll do it over here as well. What you'll see is that GPT does a better job at this type of task. Claude is good as well, but tends to be a little bit too concise, in my opinion. And Bard is kind of in the middle there. Again, different tone and really nice output, deliberate learning, incidental learning. So I was talking about tone, task, and format. Here we've done tone and we've done task, but I think we also didn't tell it to come up with a specific format. And when you're looking at a specific format, what you can do is, oh, I'm getting distracted. What you can do is play around with different formats. 1 second, yeah. So I'm going to give it, I'm going to ask it to give me an output as a table. So I'm going to say, give me the output, 1 second. So thanks again, but give me the output as a table. And I'm going to ask it to use a nice decision-making tool or model that I like to use, which is when you need to make a decision between, do I want to invest in incidental learning or deliberate learning? I want it to do a pros and cons and weight the pros and weight the cons. So give each pro a score and each weight a score. So I'm going to say thanks. By the way, I'm very polite with my Gen AIs in case they dominate us in the future and they look back on how I talk to them. So I tend to be overly polite. So thanks again, but give me the output in a table and give each pro and con a score so that there's a total score at the end. I do not want it to finish in a tie. It tends to be too consensual sometimes, so it gives me a tie. So let's see how each of these react to this. So we're going to launch it on Bard as well. We're going to launch it, same thing. It really struggled with the tone over here on Bing. I'm going to launch it on Bing, and I'm going to launch it on ClaudeAI. Let's see how good they are at building a table and giving me a pro and con for each point. So you see that we've got GPT working here, deliberate learning, pro, con, here are the pros, subtotal on the pros, here are the cons. So it started to score it. I don't trust that score completely, right? We're just playing around with this for now. Bard, much more concise, total score explains a lot and gives a little conclusion afterwards. Ooh, this is interesting. It's allowing me to export to Sheets. So of course it's from Google, so it's linked to your Google Drive, and you can actually export the results directly in Sheets. So that's a little plus over there. And then Bing over here, again, very concise. The score, I don't know, it didn't go into the specifics. It gave me 1 score, but again, it's giving me a lot of the links linked to what I asked. Not here, but over here. We will get the sources in a little bit. And then Claude, also very concise and a nice little table over here. So this is always nice to play around with and can help in your decision-making process when you're dealing with a complex issue. You can start plugging these things directly into your chat interface and start asking for advice, for weighing, decision matrix, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I want to challenge it. I'm actually going to challenge it, finish off by challenging it with a more visual output. I want to be like, okay, I want to put this on a slide. I want to share it with the rest of the team, for example. So can I finish this off by challenging you with a more visual output? So let's finish off. Let me see, I have the prompt here. Now again, but give me an output I can visualize on a slide. Okay, so we're going to stick it into GPT. We're going to stick it into Bard. We're going to stick it into Bing, and stick it into Claude. GBBC. Oh, it's giving me a diagram because it's already using one of the plugins. So that's not supposed to happen right now. Doesn't matter. What you'll see is that GPT will give me some, I think I had it here. It's going to give me some ideas on how to visualize it, on how I should build my my screen. This is from a plugin. So originally it would never have built this. This is something I'm going to show you after. Here it would have just said, okay, you can build a slide up like this. So it would have given me instructions for a slide. Bard is actually giving me bullet points, so I can probably already copy paste this into a slide. Here having trouble, and Claude also has trouble. So we've seen that they're not really good at visualization, and we'll have some other tools and tips for visualization and building up presentations in a little bit. So the thought process is pretty good, but then the visualization is not great yet. Now, for more informed decisions, or as like an intellectual sparring partner, I actually prefer GPT up until now. However, if you want to check the source materials of the content you're being offered, Bing is definitely better. Because there's all of these links, so you can see where they get the source material from. And there's something called hallucinations, which is sometimes when the Gen AI invents things that don't really exist. I'm sure you heard that story of the lawyer who used AI to defend a case and came up with a bunch of cases that didn't exist because he was using GPT and it just hallucinated some answers. So always double check what GPT feeds you. Bing seems to be much more precise, as well as Claude and Bard, because you can actually check the at least Bing and Claude, because you can check the source material. You can click on a hyperlink to see where it comes from. When it comes to like up-to-date information, so for example, there's the Rugby World Cup that's starting, I believe it's tomorrow. So GPT like stopped its crawling of the web in 2021. I'll show you how to circumvent that in a bit, but it's going to have trouble with those types of questions. Bard does okay. Bing does okay as well, because they're based on live internet data, recent crawled information. And so they're able to answer these. GPT is not. So for its news and events and up-to-date information, you're going to want to avoid GPT. As of my latest update in 2021, I don't have access to real-time data. I will show you some plugins to circumvent that issue, though. So anything like news and events, interest rates, world news, et cetera, you're going to want to go to Bing, Claude, and Bard is also quite good. For super specific questions like which order should you validate the business model canvas if you're a direct consumer sustainable tea brand, I believe Bard and GPT are the best for like business advice in general, at least in my opinion. And for a sparring partner with a super informed opinion, again, Bard and GPT seem to do a better job. These two over here. Now, by the way, I find that a great way to use these chats is to ask them to have an argument with themselves. So this is about decision making and informed decision making. I love to ask them to have a debate with themselves, and I prompt them not to come up with a consensus. You can also prompt them to be aggressive, like people would be online, for example. So in this example, it's like, I need an argument between two parties highly knowledgeable on whether people become less open-minded and creative with age, and therefore whether we should promote younger leaders to manage and adapt our companies. This was a discussion we were having internally and with my co-founder as well a couple of weeks ago. I don't want them to come to an agreement. I want them to want to be right. In the end, I want one of the two parties to win through proof in the data. And so it's really interesting to see like this high level conversation from all of the information in the world and the data that's been shared that's going to sort of roll out in the conversation. So, and also give you some of the source material. Bard and, if I go back to this one, Bard and GPT seem to do a better job at this, and GPT does tend to win overall. So yeah, we'll let it continue. While it's continuing, I'll just say that for a super logic puzzle, like a test, we've all heard of GPT passing the US medical licensing exam, I think it was. So based off of that one question, again, it seems that like GPT and Bard are in a tie. And yeah, now, of course, all of this is going to evolve with time. Models will get better or worse. I will show you in a few. Let's see what the result is actually from this one. I've got a whole rebuttal, right? So if you're having like conversations internally, or you need to win an argument and stuff, this is a great way to already know. It's like debate camp to already know. Oh, I had a network error. To already know what the other is going to answer. Really good for also pushing your ideas across inside the organization sometimes. Okay, this is going to take a bit of time. It'll come up with a result in the end. It's going to agree that based on the data, we have less neuroplasticity as we get older, and it would be interesting to put younger people in positions of leadership. So I was saying that the quality might go up and down with time. I shared this a while ago on LinkedIn. It was pretty interesting. I was like asking the question, aren't we going to start inbreeding these models? Because so the dangers of AI inbreeding, I like to call it. I made an analogy with royal families that also tend to inbreed. There's so many marketeers out there using generative AI to build content, and that's the exact content that the Gen AI is using to feed itself, except for ClaudeAI. And it turns out there's a whole interesting discussion around this. It's the rabbit hole of synthetic data. And there's sort of two schools of thought. One is that these models can create synthetic data that is original enough to train themselves on it. So they're going to create their own data to train themselves. And the other side of the argument is you can't train models unless you have human input. And the debate was started because it seemed that GPT's accuracy was really going down between March and June. So long story short, I mean, I like what Mauricio from Growth Tribe says about this. If we start missing that connection to the real world, things that are actually happening, art, what people are actually creating and consuming, then we believe that the models will become a little bit worse. I'll share an article with you if you want to read more about this. So let's see what was the conclusion. While party A, they prefer party B would have a slight edge due to the MIT Sloan study indicating that the average age of successful entrepreneurs is 42. Oh, it changed its mind since last time. But what's interesting is to get those really aggressive arguments left and right within that debate. Few more things on this before we go a little bit deeper. Problem solving. I prefer GPT. Decision making, I kind of prefer GPT. You can ask it, show me a decision tree. Oh, we'll do that after. Creativity, writing a script, GPT. Come up with a name, like a name for a business or a brand or a venture. I think they're all terrible, to be honest. And drawing something, they're all terrible as well. That's why we'll do other stuff for visuals. So the prize actually goes to, it's a bit more complicated, but I would say Bard stands out for the multiple answer options and the smooth integration with Google Workspace. Bing, I would say, prioritizes accuracy and facts. You can even tweak it to be even more precise, as I was showing you. Best part is that it's totally free. Claude is like the underdog with huge potential. It's perfect for those who really like simplicity. And I'm still going to give the sort of the prize to GPT. The only issue is it's going to cost you $20 a month. I can't remember what it is in euros, but it excels in nearly every aspect, and it supports the 26 languages. The only sort of catch is that it's $20 a month to use all of the features. Okay, now we're going to take stuff a little bit further with GPT for now. And sorry for those of you who love Brave or Firefox or Safari, we're going to use Chrome extensions. So ChatGPT for Google is a pretty nifty tool that you can use. So you know how I was telling you that GPT isn't connected to the internet? Well, ChatGPT you can use it as a sidekick on your Google page. It also works with Bing and DuckDuckGo. So there's no more tab switching. So I'll just show you what it does. Like, when you would typically Google, you just stick something in here and you have your Google results. If you install this plugin, which we'll share the resources for after, it's actually giving you the GPT answer on the side over here. So you can make GPT live in your Google searches. And just like the official OpenAI version, the extension is going to respond to your search prompts, whether you're asking it to write code, create a CV, make accurate summaries. It knows what you're Googling. Also, if you have the Pro plan, which I don't, you can run it through GPT-4, through Claude, and through Bard, if you always want to have your Google Assistant over here. And so, if I ask it, for example, when is Growth Tribes festival? So GPT is not going to be able to answer that because it's not connected to the internet. So it's going to tell me, I don't know, I stopped scraping in 2021. Whereas here, I'm going to get the answer. I'm sorry, but I don't have access over here. Oh yeah, there's another plugin I need to install. So that's the issue here, is that GPT, even with this little handy fella in Google, still isn't connected to live internet. So how do we fix that one? Another Chrome extension over here. It's called Web Chat GPT. And this one basically is going to live inside your Chat GPT. So I'm going to enable it. Web Chat GPT over here. It's enabled. And then I'm going to reload over here. And then I'm going to, you see where it says web access? So this is just something you install. It lives in your Chrome, and then it embeds itself in your GPT. And where it says web access over here, I'm going to click. So I'm going to ask it the same question that it wasn't able to answer 2 seconds ago. When is Growth Tribes Growth Festival? I'm going to put it in here. And, oh, you know what? Let's not do that one. We're going to say, who's most likely to win the Rugby World Cup? That's more fun. And so the normal GPT cannot answer this. This one is going to scrape a bunch of links and then going to plug all of this, going to give us the sources for its answer. And then it's going to give us the last betting odds for who may win the Rugby World Cup over here. So this is going to load. It's going to show me the sources, la-di-da-di-da, Daily Mail, Rugby Pass, and then it's going to give me an assumption. So this one's pretty cool, called Web Chat GPT. It gives you internet access directly inside the your GPT interface, and this one is also free. While we're waiting for the results, I think it's like New Zealand, France, something. When you're looking at getting better at prompting, I have 3 tips to give you. The first tip is that there's a bunch of cheat sheets out there. So you can just Google ChatGPT prompting, and then you'll get some really nice GPT prompt guide. And you just go to your images, and there's a bunch of images that are shared. Prompting guide, prompting cheat sheet. Yeah, they should show up there. So once you've read 2-3 of them, you've read them all. Another thing I would like to suggest is you can actually help GPT to help you prompt. So this is one that I can share with you. What is it? New Zealand, France, Ireland. Thank you. So we have up-to-date and relevant data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new chat, and I'm going to get rid of the web access, or else it's going to start giving me the same answer. Act as the world's best and most patient prompt engineering coach for dummies. Can you help me write a prompt to get exactly the tone and the output that I'm looking for? I need something extremely compelling that's never been seen or written before on a complex business subject. I need to make it look natural and authentic enough to look like I wrote it. That's a really nice prompt that I've been using. And here it's going to guide me through. So it's going to ask me a bunch of questions, specific questions like, who's your target audience? What tone do you want? What's the main subject? And it's actually going to coach me into writing the world's best prompt. So I'm going to have to answer 1, 2, 3. This takes a bit more time. It's tedious, but when you want to build exactly what you want to see, it's good to go through this. Another suggestion is you can use, there's also a really nice community and website called Flow GPT. So I'm going to stick it over here. Where you can see what others are prompting. It's great for inspiration and learning. So, we can go take a look. We can look at, so when you'll land on the homepage over here, and what you can do is you can go to the different collections. And for example, there's a collection called improve. Yeah. I'm just going to see if anybody's complaining about the speed. No one's complaining about the speed. Okay, that's good. Let me know if it goes too fast, then I might need to cut some. No. You can watch it in 0.5 speed later. So this one, for example, productivities, ChatGPT prompts, and it's got different styles and different tones. So for example, here, I can see somebody's built a prompt for the tone of a genius lecturer from MIT. And this one's really cool because not only can you talk with it directly in here, so I'm talking with a genius lecturer from MIT, it also shows me the prompt. So I can copy the prompt to get that exact tone and then bring it back to my GPT over here and say, talk like the genius lecturer from MIT, blah, 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 blah. Also, what's cool here is you can get inspiration for different types of tones. So inside the collections, it's the improved productivity. I didn't know that I wanted to write in the style of I don't know, like a language teacher, right? So you can also get inspiration over here. So that's pretty cool. The great thing here is that you can uncover the prompt itself, right? And then you can copy paste it. I want to show you another very nice extension. This one's also pretty sweet. So I'm going to get rid of this one. So this one, again, we will be sharing all of the links. I think we've been sharing the links inside the chat anyway. This one is called AIPRM. So they can work on their naming for sure. AIPRM for ChatGPT. Fantastic tool. Sorry about dissing the name over there. So let me just reload. This is going to stick a bunch of stuff into your GPT as well. It's a great all-rounder. Once it's installed, we can start doing some cool things here. So it's going to give you a bunch of like prompts that are pre-filled inside your GPT. And so, for example, there's one that's pretty cool. There's one called Write a Complete Book in One Click. It's not actually going to write a complete book in one click, but it's going to give you the outline, and then you can ask it to fill out all of the different chapters, et cetera, et cetera. There's also a nice one here for any marketeers out there. It's called Outrank Article. So this is, I don't know if this is smart or sneaky. You can take somebody's article that they've written. So for example, this one is a really nice article by Richard Hugh Jones on how vertical development helps new leaders transform. And you just stick it in there, and then it's going to try to write an article that has better keyword density, that's better written, that's a little bit longer. Oh, this is new. This content may violate our content policy if you please submit. Okay, so maybe I don't know how much GPT likes this one. I didn't have this last week, but it's still writing it, and it's writing an article based on that other article and trying to make it even better. So we're going to stop this one for now. Cool tool, check it out. Look at some of the most popular. Where is it? Some of the favorites. Some of the most. Oops. I think there's a popular button. Sort by top votes. Yeah, so you can see which ones are favorited by people inside the community. Let me get rid of this one for 1 second. Up. So another one that's also really, really nice is YouTube summary with GPT. I think this is in my must-haves. So it's called YouTube summary with ChatGPT and Claude. So this extension is time-saving slice of heaven, because basically when you're on once you've installed it, when you're on a YouTube video like this one, I don't have time to watch it. Nassim Nicholas Taleb on Skin in the Game. It creates a little thing over here. Basically, it's going to transcript the whole video. So it's taken the transcript of the whole video, and then you click to view the AI summary, and it opens your ChatGPT box again, and it summarized the video for you. So, when people are sharing you a video, you should absolutely watch this. You don't have time to know if it's actually worth watching, or you don't have time to actually watch it. It's going to give me 10 bullet points on what's interesting here. I love this point here. Taleb criticizes well-dressed traders and polished investment proposals, stating that if somebody looks too perfect, it's not trustworthy. Hire people that don't look the part is basically what he's saying, because they've had to fight more to actually get the job. So that's a nice little tip from Taleb as well. ChatGPT Writer, I think this one is maybe a must-have. This next one that I'm going to show you. Why? Because let me show you an example. So this one is really cool. ChatGPT Writer. It's going to live. Let me see if I can share my inbox or not. It's going to live in your inbox and it's going to help you to reply to emails. Yeah, I can share this one. So it's going to, once you've installed it, I'm going to hit reply over here and it's going to live here. There's a little, where'd it go? I think I need to enable it. Manage extension, writer. Yeah, I disabled it. Let me go back to, and just reload. You know, it's sometimes tedious to answer emails, especially when you have to reply politely to somebody who missed a meeting or something like that. So you're going to reply. It's right here. You're going to click here. My brother's been using it. He says he can't live without it. He's gained like an hour and a half since he started using it per day. He does a lot of emails. You're going to generate a reply. You can also give it a special tone, tell it to be very concise. This is too long. Write a super short reply to this email, generate reply. So it's going to create a super short, hi, Daniel, no problem at all. Let's reschedule the call. Please suggest a new time for you. Insert generated response. Boom, done. And then you send it. The parsing was wrong though, because I was at the wrong place. So this one is, I can't live without this. Another one that does something similar is called Merlin. I think it's also a must-have. So Merlin AI. It does something very similar, except I'm going to show you it lives somewhere else that's interesting. So you install Merlin also as a Chrome extension, and then Merlin will live also in your email inbox. It's over here. Sorry for missing our meeting. I had some connection issues, hence my late arrival. And it's right here. So I can say yes, no, create. Would you be okay to reschedule? No. And so it's going to write it for me. Hi, Daniel. No worries about the missed meeting. I understand the connections. However, I'm currently unable to reschedule the call. I apologize. The reason I use both, the one I showed before and this one, is because I'm not on the paid version of Merlin, and it's paid after like 10 emails per day, something like that. Another great thing with Merlin is that it also lives in your LinkedIn. So if you're like me and you do a lot of conversations I shouldn't be showing this stuff actually. Let me just open one. And you have a lot of conversations in LinkedIn. Let's just, yeah, I think I can share this one. Yeah, this one's fine because it's me outreaching. So here, it also lives inside your LinkedIn. So, hey, this is me outreaching, but let's say she reached out to me. I could reply with a yes, no, or create my own prompt. Politely decline. Politely decline. Over here. Hi, thank you for reaching out. If you're receiving a message, I'm afraid I have to politely decline your offer. Best of luck, etc., etc. So that's also a really nice one, playing around with Merlin. Last one, is it the last one? Is a Chrome extension again, and then we're going to go into some plugins. So it's voice control for chat. Voice control for ChatGPT. Link of Merlin, please. Yeah, just Google it. Merlin AI. Chrome extension. So voice control for ChatGPT, you can talk with it. So here I'm going to click, I'm going to be like, hey, I need to write a very, very difficult email to somebody to explain to them that after missing the meeting twice, I just cannot reschedule again. Sorry for being annoying, but it's just the way it is. And then you're going to click. And so I didn't need to type all of that stuff. So I can start talking with it. And by the way, if you turn the sound on, it talks back to you in a really annoying voice. So it's hard to have a conversation. But, you know, this is also a productivity boost if you don't feel like writing the whole day. By the way, a lot of this is possible also in Notion. I'm not going to show you Notion in detail, but it's a nice productivity tool as well. And they have a nice, I think it's Command J. If I hit Command J, it can help me improve writing, make shorter, make longer, change tone, simplify language, and so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we're going to stop with the Chrome extensions. If you pay for GPT, you can also play around with plugins. They have a beautiful plugin store and plugin library with a lot of things that you can play around with. I'm just going to show you one. Remember, I was telling you about, yeah. So remember that thing about the incidental learning versus deliberate learning. I'm going to ask the same question, except I'm going to ask it to turn this into a diagram using Whimsical. I really like this plugin called Whimsical. So you can just download it from the Chrome store. The Chrome store is available as soon as you're on the Plus version of GPT. Whimsical diagrams. I'm sorry it's going so fast, but I had so much I wanted to share, so you can just pick what you like. Not that anyone's complaining. So whimsical diagram. So do all of this stuff, then turn it into a diagram using whimsical. And this is great for decision making as well. I also really love this tool to help in decision making, because sometimes you have to catch up on a complex message from different departments with excruciating details about a very specific mix of features, release dates, trade-offs, newly rising blockers, blah blah blah. Sometimes I copy paste. Now, your information is not confidential with GPT, so don't stick this into GPT if it's confidential information. But sometimes I copy a very complicated conversation that I can't seem to get up to date with. I stick it in here and I ask it to make a diagram with whimsical to explain it to me like I was 5 years old. And it creates this beautiful diagram. We will see it in a few seconds, that explains it for me much more simply. It explains this is the problem. These are the different solutions. These are the trade-offs. This is how you might want to approach this issue over here. So it's going to make a little diagram down there. This is turning into a GPT tutorial. I still want to show you some stuff around imagery. So we're going to skip some more plugins. We're going to skip the one that shows you how to read inside a PDF. I'll just show you a quick little hiring trick in a few seconds. Let's see, this one is nice because it gives you a nice little diagram. Deliberate learning versus incidental learning, deliberate learning, incidental learning, pros, cons, structured curriculum, measurable outcomes. Fantastic also for decision making if you're trying to work through a difficult decision to take. By the way, cool little recruitment tip if you do a little bit of hiring using let me see, using Claude. So you know how like on LinkedIn you can download somebody's let me go to my co-founder. You can download somebody's resume as a PDF over here. So more save to PDF, right? So I'm going to save this to as a PDF. Sometimes I interview a lot of candidates, and sometimes I leave it to the last second to look at their profile or resume if my day's too packed. On ClaudeAI, what you can do is this: you can upload their LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to upload Peter's LinkedIn profile, and then I'm going to say, I'm interviewing this person for sales. In a few minutes, give me 3 interesting facts and 4 tough questions based on their profile. Now, I don't do all of my research like this, but sometimes they uncover interesting patterns that I hadn't thought of, at all. So he co-founded multiple organizations, stuff that I hadn't seen, and tough questions linked to their profile. So it's doing a lot of that critical analysis for you. Last little tip on this: if you want to avoid plagiarism when you're writing content, you can use a tool called Quillbot, and it's basically going to paraphrase plagiarism detector. Sorry, it's going to paraphrase your text by including a bunch of synonyms, and usually you should be able to avoid plagiarism detectors with this. A lot of more resources I'd like to share. I will be sharing them in the full list of resources that we're sharing, where there's a bunch more plugins that I'm recommending, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to spend the last part of the webinar looking at visuals, how to build visuals. So there's 3 main tools. You have Midjourney, you have Midjourney, you have Stable Diffusion, and then you have DALL-E. There's probably other ones out there, but these are the 3 that I sort of use and know about. DALL-E is from OpenAI. Stable Diffusion is by Stability AI. And Midjourney is by Midjourney, I believe. I can't remember who they're by. In my opinion, the best one is Midjourney. Now, let's have a little bit of fun with this. I'm going to put a complicated prompt in here. I'm going to ask for that writer that I said I was obsessed with, Nicolas Nassim Taleb, standing with the book in his hand, wide full body portrait, wearing a colorful, flashy business attire, futuristic office interior, green background, Wes Anderson color palette, found footage, tiled floor. Then I'll show you what tool I used to build these on, by the way. I'm going to ask it to generate this if it wants to. Oh, I don't have any credits left. Too bad. So I'm not going to be able to generate with this one. Let's see if I can do it here. I'm going to use this tool over here. Loading. I'm going to stick my prompt in here, and we're going to generate. And I'm going to show you my favorite tool, which lives on Discord, which is actually Midjourney over here. So the way this works basically is you sign up to Midjourney happens in a tool called Discord. Discord is like Slack, but for gamers and for developers. So it's the same as Slack. You've got your different groups and you've got different channels in there. And then you just need to use some prompts to talk with it. So just Google how to install this stuff, sign up to Discord, download Discord, and then sign up to Midjourney as well. And the way you create images inside Midjourney is by using the prompt imagine. And then you hit enter, and then you can type whatever you want. So here I'm making Nicolas Nassim Taleb standing with a book in his hand, wide full body portrait, wearing a colorful, flashy business attire, blah, 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 with a specific lens, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll see what happens in a few seconds. Now, a mistake that a lot of people make, is that, well, it's not a mistake, is that here you're in like public forums where everybody can see what you're doing. Actually, you can very easily create your own private Midjourney, which is by, if you go over here, you create a new server, sorry. So create my own, a personal server, my server. And then what I'm actually gonna do is I'm going to go back to Midjourney over here, and I'm gonna simply invite, by clicking on the Midjourney box, I'm gonna add him to the other server. So I'm going to add him to the my server over there, and I've just created my own personal Midjourney by doing this. Go to my server. So this is the one I actually use here, and then I can start prompting, and there's nobody else in here, and you can create your different groups and channels to play around with this stuff. As you see, I've been playing around quite a bit before the webinar, making these nice images. So the basic level of this is there's two main prompts that you're going to use. One is settings, and settings basically allows you to toggle a few settings. If you start playing around with this, make sure you have remix mode that is on, because it'll allow you to make variations of the different images that we're going to build. By the way, did it ever build my image? Where is it? Did it build my Nicolas Nassim? Ah, there he is. So Nicolas Nassim Taleb sitting in the middle of the room, with a Wes Anderson color palette, et cetera, and a specific ratio. I'm going to give you some tools very easily on how you can learn to do this stuff. And when you want to build something, so when you want to make an image, you type imagine, and then you're going to give it a prompt. There's some fun stuff you can do. You can actually use emojis to prompt. So if I stick these two emojis over here, it's going to come up with something. You can include famous people, and I think you get the point. What we want here is we want to have a little bit more control. And I want to show you one resource that's really fantastic. That's called midlibrary.io. And midlibrary.io basically gives you all of the inspiration that you need to create those prompts. If you want a certain style of artistic style, and you can just scroll through this one and find your artistic style. If you like a specific architect or a specific designer for your logo, for example, or for an image, or specific architectural style, you can stick that in your prompt directly. There's also a really nice GitHub that has a lot of these. It's not as beautifully designed, but it also has themes, design styles, digital artists, drawing objects, materials, et cetera, and has a beautiful library of like if I want something to be in the paper cutout style, plywood, particle board, et cetera. You may like rgel.ai to easily create visuals. Yes, we played around with that one as well. That's a good one. Although I find like the results are not always so fantastic. Let's keep going. And then last tip on this one, if you want to learn to use a different type of lens, depth of field, essentially become a mini fake photographer, there's this one over here. It's directly in the documentation of Midjourney. It tells you how to play around with aspect ratios, with the image weight, with the quality of the image, with how much crazy style Midjourney should add to it. I will share with you the top sort of ones that you need to know. I've put them. Oh, actually, I forgot to put them. We'll be sharing this one as well. Let me just paste them in here. Yeah, so I'll be sharing this one. Some of the key orders that you need. Yeah, I'll do this later. No point in doing this now. Let me go back to Midjourney over here. And great resources. I think the best one to create prompts, just give you two more over here, is this one, prompt folder, Midjourney prompt helper. So here you can decide the aspect ratio, the version, the quality, how much you want it to stylize. It explains what it means to stylize, and then it creates the prompt directly for you. And then another resource that I'm sharing, if you're interested in this, is prompts by Noonshot. Noonshot prompt builder. I think they took it down. Visit website. Oh, it was the same one. And apparently there's a ChatGPT plugin to create Midjourney prompts as well. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, and just play around with it. And after a while, you can really start having some fun. More inspiration is to go to the Midjourney catalog to browse. So you can really browse by popular, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you click on an image that you like, I think it was here, you can actually uncover the, you can, oh, it's here. You can, if you click here, you can find the prompt that they used. Can't remember where it is. Somewhere here, you can actually see the exact prompt that they used to build this copy prompt. So you can copy the prompt and create something similar to use their inspiration. The next thing that I've been playing around with that I really like, if you want to take imagery a bit further, is it's a tool called runway.ml. And so runway.ml, what it allows you to do is to turn, there's a bunch of options in there, like you can edit images, you can cut out the background, erase, replace, backdrop design, image variation, blah, blah, blah. This one's pretty cool. You can also generate videos either from a piece of text or actually from an image. And before we just sort of stop for maybe one or two questions, so if you just upload a file into here and then you generate it, and it creates some pretty, let me show you some pretty funky things that you can play around with. So I'm just going to show you over here. So you're going to drop your images in here as videos. So for example, if you drop this image, it's going to animate it and it's going to turn into this. Or you drop a simple image here of marbles that you generated on Midjourney, and it's going to start animating them. These are pretty cool. All of this done in a few seconds. You don't have a lot of control over it, but you can go crazy with the creativity. You can then jump into another tool called Moobert. Moobert allows you to create AI generated video. So you just type a little prompt in here, baby fast ukulele toys, fun song, and it's going to create a really nice tune for you. And if you take this further, I actually had fun just for shits and giggles to create a whole YouTube channel for babies around sensory videos. And you can't hear it here, but so this is basically a YouTube video that has a bunch of animations. It has music in the background. The description is generated by Gen AI. The music's built by AI. The visuals are built by AI. Just the whole shebang, even the logo and stuff like that. You can really take your creativity to the next, kind of to the next level. Or you can also, start an Instagram. I was playing around with this one, just to show you what some of those. I set this one up like a couple of weeks ago. It's called Nude Nuggets, and so these are some of the things that somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of artistic background can actually start creating, again, just for fun with these little animations and stuff. I think some of them are a bit creepy. Ooh, that's creepy. But imagine that, right? Like from nothing, right? From nothing, just from some ideas. And then it sparks a conversation about artistic license, what creativity actually is, and are we taking over artist jobs and things like that. By the way, come in if you like it. It's over here, Nude Nuggets. Everything is free. No, I generate so many of these videos that I started having to pay for the Runway ML. I think Midjourney is $10 a month. I will share the free tools that you can use in the resources. There's two other ones. It's the Stable Diffusion one, and the GPT. It's like $20 a month, something like this. I think this one you can play around with for free now. It's called Clip Drop, Stable Diffusion, and you can enter your prompt directly over here. Okay, I think I'm out of time. I had AI for other things. I wanted to show you maybe a bit of Canva. Last one is maybe this one's kind of fun too. So with ClipDrop by stability.ai, you can actually doodle. So I can design a swing. I'm going to design a swing, and it's going to create a swing similar to the one that I want. Because if I wanted to create a swing from the 80s, it would maybe have used like a different angle or something like that. So here it's going to create it from the same angle that I like. Yeah. And then last one, if you're building websites from scratch, you should really check out framer.com. Portfolio page for a photographer, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to ask it to create a page to promote my webinar. Start with AI, and it's going to actually create a website from scratch. It's pretty cool. Not perfect, of course. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed, but then you can start playing around with the fonts, the color scheme, et cetera. Great inspiration, and who knows, maybe I'll push it into a production. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Sorry for the speed. I wanted to get through a lot of stuff. I think we've gotten through 75%. If you're interested in something that's a bit calmer, again, we have this AI for business course where somebody said I should touch a session about AI for lawyers, for accountants. We talk about that stuff in the AI for a business course. You can just, I think we're launching it. I think it'll be free at the beginning of October. We'll have the modules that are ready as part of our membership. So go check out what we do over at Growth Tribe. If you want to start a free demo, train yourself, train your team, you can start a free demo over here, and you can start playing around with the actual demo version of the site, so you can see what we have to offer. Start taking the first module of a lot of the so over here, the first module of a lot of our courses. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Ooh, I'm forgetting the link. So if you want the resources, the link is over here. Lucia's going to kill me. The link is over here, grow.ac/September 7th. I will share a list of all of the links. We will share the recording so that you can do it in your own time, have fun. And then, add me on LinkedIn if you have new tools that we should try, test out, or if you have any, not if you have questions. If you have questions, become a member at Growth Tribe, then I'll answer them. I don't have time to answer your questions on LinkedIn with the different tools. Stay curious, keep learning. This stuff is fun. Keep it ethical. And please share with us and share with me if you have any other things that maybe we've forgotten. And I hope you'll also share the feedback for this session. We shared a little link in the chat. Please let us know how we did, how we can improve. And I will leave you with that. Have a fantastic day, morning, evening. Thanks for your attention, and have a good one. Bye, everyone.